Welcome back. Let's look at the relative pronoun in Latin this time. So, as you might guess, there are separate forms for masculine, feminine, and neuter. The nominative is qui, quae, quod. Genitive quius, quius, quius. These are going to behave like the special IUS adjectives that you learned in Chapter 9. So you're not going to be surprised when you see that the dative is qui, 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 ending in a short I. Accusative quem, quam, quod, because remember the neuter accusative always equals the neuter nominative. Ablative quo, qua, quo. Nominative qui, quae, quae. Take a moment here to notice that the form quae is going to show up in several places, both feminine, singular, and plural nominative, and then neuter nominative plural. Genitive quorum, quorum, quorum. Dative quibus, quibus, quibus. Accusative quos, quos, quae. There's our last form of quae, so quae shows up in 4 places. 2 of them are feminine and 2 of them are neuter. And then ablative quibus, quibus, quibus. I highly recommend that you chant and write out these forms millions and millions of times. For the masculine pronoun in Latin, you can use that to refer to actual male human beings, but also you use the masculine pronoun when referring back to masculine nouns, like book, liber. Likewise, the feminine pronoun can be used to refer to women, but also it can be used to refer back to feminine nouns, like rosa, a rose. The neuter pronoun is used to refer back to neuter nouns. You'll notice that all of these relative pronoun forms start with QU, so just be aware that we've learned a couple of other words that start with QU. The word quam means how. It is identical to the feminine accusative singular of the relative pronoun, so you'll rely on context to know whether we are using the relative pronoun or the adverb how. And then also quod, meaning because. So let's look at some examples of the relative pronoun in Latin. In the sample sentence, femina quam laudas est sapiens, the main sentence is femina est sapiens. It has a subject, a verb, and a predicate. Quam laudas is the relative clause, which is our specific type of subordinate clause. It has a subject, a verb, and an object, but it can't stand on its own, which is why we call it a subordinate clause. The English for this sentence is, the woman whom you praise is wise. The English subordinate clause is, whom you praise. In the Latin sentence, the word femina is the antecedent of the relative pronoun quam. That means that femina is the word that quam refers back to. You'll notice that femina is feminine nominative singular, quam is feminine accusative singular. Your hard and fast rule is that the pronoun agrees with the antecedent in gender and number, but it takes its case from its function in its own clause. So that is why femina is nominative, because it's the subject of the verb est, but quam is accusative because it is the direct object of the verb laudas. Let's look at another example. Diligo puellam quae ex Italia venit. I admire the girl who came from Italy. The main sentence is diligo puellam, diligo subject plus verb, puellam direct object. Quae ex Italia venit is the subordinate clause. The subject is quae and the verb is venit. Ex Italia is a prepositional phrase. Puellam is feminine singular accusative because it's the direct object of diligo, but quae is feminine singular nominative because it's the subject of venit. Next up is puella qui librum dat est fortunata. The girl to whom he is giving the book is fortunate. The main sentence is puella est fortunata, and qui librum dat is the relative clause. It has a subject plus verb, dot, a direct object, book, librum, and an indirect object, qui. Puella is feminine nominative singular because puella is the subject of est. Qui is feminine dative singular because it is the indirect object of dot. You'll notice that qui is the exact same form for masculine and neuter. I called it feminine here because the antecedent is feminine. Let's look at some more examples on the last slide. So, homo de quo dicebas est amicus caras. The person about whom you are speaking is a dear friend. The main sentence is homo est amicus caras. De quo dicebas is our subordinate clause. Homo is masculine nominative singular because homo is the subject of est. Quo is masculine singular ablative because de takes the ablative. Both are masculine and singular. In the sample sentence, puer quius patron iuabamus est fortis, the main sentence is puer est fortis, the boy is brave. Quius patrum iuabamus is our subordinate clause. Iuabamus is subject plus verb, patrum is direct object, and quius shows possession. So puer is masculine singular nominative because it's the subject of est, but quius is masculine singular genitive because it shows possession. Next sentence, timeo idem periculum quod timetis. I include this one because up till now we've been talking about people and using masculine and feminine pronouns. This example has a neuter noun. I fear the same danger which you fear. Timeo idem periculum, I fear the same danger, is the main sentence. Quod timetis is our subordinate clause. Subject plus verb is timetis. Quod is the object. Periculum is neuter singular accusative because it is the direct object of timeo. Quod is neuter singular because the antecedent is neuter singular, and we picked the accusative because it's the direct object of timetis. Don't forget, however, that you can have nouns that are grammatically masculine or feminine in Latin, like in the example sentence, tyrannus urbem delevit ex qua milia civium fugerant. The tyrant destroyed the city from which thousands of citizens had fled. The main sentence is tyrannus urbem delevit, the tyrant destroyed the city. Ex qua milium civium fugerant is a subordinate clause. The subject is milia. Fugerant is the verb. Ex qua is a prepositional phrase. So urbem is accusative because it's the direct object of delevit, and it happens to be a feminine noun, urbem. So that means in Latin we have to use the feminine relative pronoun qua to refer back to urbem. So it's feminine and singular. It's ablative because it's with the preposition ex. But you'll see that in English, because it's a thing, we translate it with the pronoun which. So Latin, we're using the feminine because urbem is feminine, but in English, we're using which was what we use for things. That is it for now. See you next time.